Uverse TV.
The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Fox. We are the West.
Matt Garza looks to build on a fantastic Texas debut when he leads your Rangers against their West rival Los Angeles Angels. That's coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. The Rangers back home for a brief four-game homestand, and they certainly hope that home cooking plays its part, getting the club turned around. Tonight, it's the first of three with the Los Angeles Angels and the Texas Rangers. And welcome everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Monday night of Rangers baseball. And the Rangers hope to get back into that win column. They've been missing it for a while now, 4 consecutive losses to their ledger. Tonight, they have their slump buster going, the newest member of the Rangers pitching staff, and that is Matt Garza.
And Matt Garza pitched great for the Rangers in his first start. He beat the Yankees. It shouldn't have been a surprise, though, based on the way he had been pitching for the Cubs. He had won 5 straight starts coming into this start. He pitched 7 1/3 innings in this game on a hot night. Did not give up an earned run. Did it with a lot of competitiveness, a lot of strikes, didn't walk a batter. Good fastball, great assortment of breaking pitches. Now, Buzz, when you look over his last 6 starts, going back to his time with the Cubs, he's 6-0 with a 123 ERA. He's never pitched better than he is right now.
And he can use one more dialed up in his favor here tonight because the Rangers need all the help they can get. They're trying to snap away from a tough streak. So it'll be Matt Garza going against Jared Weaver, a matchup of very, very good right-handers. Leonis Martin back in the leadoff spot for the Rangers tonight. We'll have the starting lineups and the first pitch for you right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular, featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealers. By AT U-Burst TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. By Progressive. Visit progressive.com today. And by Red 2, now in theaters everywhere. Have a warm, humid, breezy evening here at Rangers Ballpark. The lineup cards being exchanged at the meeting at home plate. Rangers and Angels getting set to hook it up in Game 1 of this 3-game series. Before we get underway, let's welcome in Jim Knox. Jim.
I appreciate it. Like you and Tom were talking about, what a terrific pitching matchup tonight. Jared Weaver going against Matt Garza. Talking with A.J. Przinsky, he says these pitchers very similar.
He's similar to Weaver. I mean, he competes. He wants to win. He wants the ball. Since he had one start, he really pitched well, and hopefully he can do that tonight. But he's got numerous pitches he can go over the plate, and he'll compete with Weaver. That's all you can ask for.
There you go, AJ, with the Geico quote of the day. So Jared Weaver, since the All-Star break, a perfect 2-0. Let's hope after tonight, guys, a 2-1. Buzz?
That'd be good, Jim. That's kind of what we're after. Rangers, though, have to get that offense going a little bit to back Matt Garza. Rangers shut out in back-to-back games to finish off that Cleveland series. They have been whitewashed 3 of the last 4 games that they have taken the field. Last time they got a W was when Matt Garza started here against the Yankees last week. So Ron Washington hoping that Garza turns the trick again here tonight. Mike Sochin and Dave Anderson out there representing the Angels and the Rangers at the home plate meeting. The umpiring crew getting reacquainted with the ground rules here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Well, the Angels come in 13 games behind the Oakland Athletics. They are in 4th place in the American League West. They're the up-to-date standings, and Seattle now has taken over the 3rd spot ahead of the Angels. Rangers now 6 games back, and they are pretty much in free fall. They have lost 3 games in the last 3 days to Oakland. Oakland beating up on the Angels, taking 3 of 4 up in the Bay Area, while the Rangers were losing 3 straight against the Cleveland Indians at Progressive Field. Trying to turn things around, Juan Washington has changed his lineup a bit tonight. Leonis Martin, as we mentioned, will be leading off and hoping to get somebody on base on a more consistent basis. Ian Kinsler, one of the guys that has driven in runs fairly consistently, and he's been dropped down to the number 3 slot. And it's not time to count the Rangers out. Believe me, the comebacks of the last 2 seasons. Last year, Oakland was 5 games back, if you'll remember, on the 24th of September. They came back to win it on the last day of the season. 2011, the Cardinals 8.5 back in the NL Wild Card on September 1st. They won the World Series. Tampa Bay that same year was 7.5 games back in the AL Wild Card, came back to make the playoffs. So here we go, Rangers on the comeback trail, if you will. They hope it starts here tonight. Rangers come in with that record of 56 and 49. And here's the Angels lineup that Matt Garza will face tonight. Eric Ibar, the shortstop, leads off. Cole Calhoun is in right field. Mike Trout bats 3rd down, plays center. Josh Hamilton in left. Mark Trumbo bats 5th. He's at first base. Howie Kendrick is the 2nd baseman. Alberto Callaspo bats 7th. He is at 3rd. And Hank Conger, the catcher tonight, bats 8th. J.B. Shuck is the DH, batting 9th.
And we'll take a look at our scouting report on Matt Garza, brought to us by Progressive. Matt Garza 7-1 with a 2.87 ERA in 12 starts this year. 7 or more innings pitched in 6 of his last 7 starts. He's won his last 6 starts. Way back in June with the Cubs, he did have a start in Anaheim against the Angels. Gave up 4 earned runs and a home run in 6 1/3. But he's been a solid pitcher for a number of years, but he's never had a streak like he's on right now. Last 6 starts, he's 6-0 with a 1.23 ERA.
And Matt Garza facing An Angels team tonight that he's 0-1 against in his career with an ERA of a little bit over 5, but it has been a while since he faced the Halos. And we'll take a look at the Ranger defense as set up by Ron Washington tonight. Murphy in left, Martin in center, Cruz is in right. Moreland at first base, Kinsler and Andrews up the middle, Belfry at third. Giovanni Soto gets the start behind the plate, and Matt Garza is on the hill. Umpiring crew tonight looks like this. Alan Porter calling the balls and strikes. Greg Gibson at first, Jerry Lane at second, and Hunter Wendelstedt is over at third. So Matt Garza out there this evening. The Angels, significant changes undergone lately. Albert Pujols, I'm sure most of you saw, had to go on the disabled list. He had a tear in his plantar fascia of his foot, and Mike Scioscia, while not stating he was going to fear the worst, but he said it doesn't look very good. And placed on the disabled list yesterday. You look at the ranks among active players in his illustrious career: 321 average, 8 shy of 500 home runs, and 2 shy of 1,500 RBI, and at 599 slugging percentage, the best among all active players. So you'd be nuts to think the Angels wouldn't miss him. Now, how much, that's anybody's guess. But in any event, they're bracing for the possibility that Pujols will miss the remainder of the season. They also, today, made a trade sending Scott Downs, their left-handed reliever, to the Atlanta Braves in exchange for Corey Rasmus, a minor league player. Now ready to get underway, Eric Ibar, the shortstop, leading things off. And Matt Garza okays the sign, goes into the line. The first pitch tonight is a fastball right down the middle for strike one. Ibar hitting at .283. Switch hitting shortstop with 4 home runs and 37 driven in. Garza back to him. Here's a big slow hook. And that drops over the top of the strike zone. And Ibar looking back questioningly at Alan Porter, but all Porter did was nod his head.
Well, A.J. Pierzynski said it before the game in his little scouting report. Garza has a number of pitches that he can throw for strikes, and we saw that in the start against the Yankees.
Line drive into the glove of Mitch Moreland. Playing a couple of steps off the line, and Ibar is a hard first out.
Yeah, he was down in the count 0-2, but he hit that ball pretty well. Fastball inside half of the plate. Showed a quick bat on that, got the good part of the bat on it, but fortunately we've got Mitch Moreland playing right there, and it was an easy play for Mitch.
That is the proverbial hang with him for Eric Ibar. Get it good, but nothing going. One out here is Cole Calhoun, who was called up to take the place on the roster anyway of Albert Pujols. Mark Trumbo had gone over to first base. He'll play there defensively. And Cole Calhoun, the outfielder, is up from AAA to take the spot on the roster. 1 for 2. See his career 200 hitter in limited playing time. To center field, Leonis Martin drifts to his right, makes the grab, and there are 2 away. Now you can see the 6 o'clock start, you're going to have some difficult sun angles at times, and David Murphy remembers what happened last homestand when he had a 6 o'clock start. He had the ball go right into the sun, so he's trying to make some adjustments, maybe playing off to the side a little bit, so that when the ball gets up in the air, at least he'll have a different angle on it. Does that make sense doing that, Tom?
Yeah, it does if you've got time to do it. But if it's one of those, fairly hard hit line drives right at you where, you've got to run in for it, you don't have time to do that, and there's not much you can do about it.
Here's Mike Trout, and he takes a strike.
It's a softly hit ball, then I think you have time to do that. And it depends where the ball is hit. If the ball's hit the left center field, you got a little bit better chance to do that than if it's hit right at you. Because the angle from the batter to David pretty much goes right through the sun.
Slow breaking ball. That's just off the outside corner. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's been a bad year for the Angels, and they haven't scored the way they thought they would. But one guy who's played like they thought he would is Trout. He's right where you would expect him to be.
rip and a miss as Garza pulled the string again. It is 1-2. Now, you saw the numbers on Trout. How about these? Boy, just kind of silly numbers. 54 extra base hits this season. The franchise record 86. That was Garrett Anderson back in 2002. Trout's going to rewrite most of the Angels' offensive records before he's through. That pitch just missed the inside corner. Might have been down a little bit. 2-2 now to Trout. Hard to remember, this young man hasn't turned 22 yet. He came up last year and unanimous, by far unanimous, Rookie of the Year. And lays off that pitch. The count has gone full. So with 2 outs, Trout trying to get aboard. Josh Hamilton, the familiar figure for the Angels now, waiting in that on-deck circle. Matt Garza doing a little soul searching as he climbs back up on top of the hill, ready to go now. Reads the signs from Giovanni Soto. And the payoff pitch. High ball 4. Trout able to lay off that pitch, and here's the welcome for Josh Hamilton. Around these parts, not a real popular guy.
No, I'd say he's not very popular, judging by the reception he's getting. I'm sure for Josh it was not unexpected. He's been here as an Angel.
You see the numbers for Josh Hamilton. 15 home runs, 43 RBI, hitting at .220. And those numbers have improved in the last month or so. Fly ball, left or right center field, going over. Leonis Martin camps under it, puts it away, and that'll do it. So Garza gives up a 2-out walk, but gets Hamilton. No runs, no hits, 1 left for the Angels. We played a half innings. The Angels nothing. Rangers coming up. Now the Rangers come to bat. Their starting lineup tonight is delivered by DeMontront RV. Leonis Martin will be in the leadoff spot tonight. He'll be followed by Elvis Andrus. Then it's Ian Kinsler. Adrian Beltre bats cleanup. AT Przinsky is the DH. Nelly Cruz drops down to 6. He's playing right field. David Murphy is in left. Giovanni Soto catches. And batting ninth, the first baseman, Mitch Moreland. So here is Leonis Martin and Jared Weaver. Angular right-hander fires strike one.
The scouting report for Weaver, he's 5-5, but he's got an excellent ERA, 2.98. He's had 2 starts since the All-Star break. He has not given up a run in either of those 2 starts in about 14 innings. He's on a nice little roll after the break. April 7th at Texas. Didn't go well for him in a lot of different ways. He pitched 5 innings, gave up a couple of home runs, 5 earned runs, and also got hurt trying to get out of the way of a line drive and ended up missing 45 games. So the Angels have missed him for basically a couple of months of the season. And he's back and throwing very well right now.
Ahead in the count to Leonis Martin. No balls and 2 strikes. Now it's 1-2. Yeah, it was a weird thing. Weaver went down in kind of a heap on the mound to get out of the way of a line drive. Broke his left elbow. Chipped a bone off in the elbow itself and missed those 6 weeks that you were talking about, Tom. Fortunately, it was his left elbow and not his right elbow. I thought that had it been his throwing arm, it really could have been a problem for him. Gets a strikeout of Martin, and that's how the Ranger first begins. And we'll take a look at the Angel defense behind Jared Weaver. Hamilton in left, Trout in center, Calhoun is in right. Mark Trumbo plays first. Kendrick and Ibar up the middle. Alberto Callaspo is in third. Hank Conger behind the plate. And Jared Weaver on the mound. And this is an Angel defense that has really struggled. 75 errors, fielding 980 percentage-wise, and that is 14th out of 15 American League teams.
You look at the errors, and you look at Josh Hamilton, who we regard as a good fielder. He's made 8 errors himself.
Ibar, a little bit of a double clutch, but able to use that strong arm of his. And Elvis is retired for out number 2. Mike Scioscia has seen this year that had so much promise for the Angels really not get off to a good start, and then got worse. It was whatever could go wrong for a while did go wrong, and certainly the offense hasn't been what they had hoped for. The defense, uncharacteristically for the Los Angeles Angels, really a sore spot for the ball club. Well, here's Ian Kinsler with the bases empty and 2 away. Ian dropping down to the 3 hole. See if he can drive in a few more runs down there, and he takes a strike from Weaver. Ian in his last dozen ball games below 200 with the average. Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Weaver, would you call Weaver a power pitcher?
No.
More of a finesse pitcher?
Well,
I mean, his velocity is not strong.
Right.
But sometimes you watch him pitch, and he looks like a power pitcher.
Well, he does, and I think, Tom, it's a combination of command and a really funky delivery.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those guys whose 87-mile-an-hour fastball looks a lot different to the hitter, I think.
1-2 pitch is grounded to short. Ibar gobbles that up. And it's a quick and easy 1-2-3 inning for Jared Weaver and the Angels. Rangers gone in order. We're going to the second in Arlington. No score on Fox Sports Southwest.
About how Whataburger and the Texas Rangers are teaming together to help strike out hunger. That's right, bring 2 perishable food items to the ballpark tomorrow, Ranger fans, and you receive a free coupon for a Whataburger while they last. And also the proceeds go to the Tarrant County Area Food Bank. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you. Now we head on to the top of inning number 2, and Mark Trumbo took the first pitch for strike 1 from Matt Garza. Trumbo, the number 5 hitter in the Angels order tonight, batting at .252, 22 home runs, and 61 driven in. Goes after that high fastball, and Garza now the advantage in the count at 0-2. Trumbo in 103 games. You see that 22 home runs. That's what he did last year, too, prior to the All-Star break. Went nuts. And then cooled off significantly in the second half. And this year, Mike Scioscia has had to use him now to hopefully replace the numbers that Albert Pujols would put up, or at least make a dent in those numbers. Pitch just outside. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Last 7 ball games, Trumbo almost a .400 hitter. Garza heaves a sigh, comes back with a 1-2. And that evens the count. Matt Garza, the California product. He's from the Central Valley, right outside Fresno, California. Went to Fresno State. Twins made him the first round draft pick choice of theirs out of Fresno State. Trumbo fouls back the next pitch. Count remains 2-2. Matt, 29 years old. He'll be 30 this coming November. Came up originally with the Twins in 2006. Spent part of 07 with them, too, before going to Tampa Bay. Check swing, he went around. And Garza with that sharp slider has strikeout number 1.
He set it up with his fastball. He showed Trumbo a lot of fastballs in that at bat, and then just wasn't able to lay off the hard slider down and out of the strike zone. Definite strikeout pitch if you get the batter to swing at it. Trumbo didn't want to, but he just couldn't hold up.
Yep.
If Trumbo has one thing to improve as a hitter, it would be his pitch selection a little bit. He tends to expand the strike zone, swinging pitches out of the strike zone. He's still young, and he's got great potential to get even better.
And here's that Phantom Cam, which is our newest technological advance, an ultra slow motion camera showing you the release of that last pitch by Matt Garza. And I'll come back to that in just a second, because he does something that I think more pitchers ought to do. Kendrick, a looping drive to left. That's going to fall for a base hit. David Murphy over to play it on a hop, and Howie Kendrick gets the first hit of the night for either ball club. A 1-out single here in the second inning. Well, Garza throws a slider that is very difficult for a hitter to pick up. You hear hitters sometimes tell you about the spot, the dot on a slider that they can see. And that's created by the two seams as they come together at the ends of the horseshoe, spinning so fast it looks like there's a dot. Matt holds that slider so that when the ball comes off of his hands, he has the smooth part of the baseball facing the hitter. You don't have the seams rotating around each other, so there is no dot. And it's much more difficult for a hitter to pick that up.
I always like the slow motion replay of the pronation of the arm, how your hand goes the opposite way you think it does as you let go of the ball.
Yeah.
I never would have believed that that's what your arm did.
But if enough young people see pictures of themselves throwing a baseball, then they'll be a pitcher. That's the
it's not
worst
surprising
looking
that
thing
guys
in the world.
get hurt.
Yeah. Check swing by Alberto Callaspo, and he takes the pitch. It's just low. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Callaspo, switch hitting third baseman, batting at .255. You see he has had good success against Matt Garza in his career. 4 out of 9 with a home run. He's got Kendrick at first, 1 out here in the second inning. Check swing. There's that good sharp slider. It is a strike, 1-2. Were you one of those hitters, Tom, that could see that dot on the slider?
I think on certain guys you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it helped you pick up the ball on with certain guys.
Of course, there are some hitters that would swear up and down they could see the spin on the ball right out of the pitcher's hand.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Ted Williams said he could see the ball hit the bat. And as great as he was, and as much as I respect his
Matt has a pretty quick move, an excellent fielder. He's a very good athlete on the mound. So you see good quick pickoff moves and a good job of fielding his position. That pitch just outside. That evens the count to Callaspo at 2-2. Callaspo with 5 home runs. Saw the 36 RBI. Kendrick bluffed a move, and he comes back, and Callaspo rips one foul outside first. Almost got Alfredo Griffin down there, the Angels' first base coach.
Callaspo, one of the, at least nowadays, rare hitters who walks more than he strikes out. It's not because he walks a lot, just because he hardly ever strikes out.
Yeah.
He's only struck out 21 times.
Callaspo, the leader in the American League, followed very closely by Kinsler. Kendrick on the move, so there won't be a play at second. Garza just flips one over to Moreland for the second out, and now in scoring position. Howie Kendrick is out there for Hank Conger.
That was a similar ball back to Matt that led to the only run in his start against the Yankees, an unearned run, when he knocked down a little tapper back to the mound and then threw awkwardly and wildly to first base. This is the same little tapper. You see Matt falls off toward first base, so it's a little tough for him to get back the other way. Basically, when his right foot hits the ground, his back is to third base. So if the ball's hit to shortstop side of the mound, it's not an easy play for him. But I guess the other side of it is, if it's hit to the other side, he's in great position to get it.
Right. Here's Conger, and he takes a breaking ball for strike one. Yeah, and people will ask you, well, you know, Garza's a pretty good pitcher. Why doesn't he learn to be in a better fielding position? Well, chances are that he's tried to do that somewhere along the line and couldn't pitch as effectively and land in a good fielding position. And if you have to have a choice between the two and you're a pitcher, do what you can do to throw the ball as well as you possibly can.
Sure.
And worry about fielding later on.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great pitchers that weren't in perfect fielding position.
I always tell young kids, if you worry so much about getting in a good fielding position, you're going to have to use it way too often. 1-1 pitch. Rip and a miss. Good high fastball. And Garza, that's the kind of pitcher that with the assortment of pitches he has, and he can throw it by hitters when he gets to set up the way he wants it. A ball and 2 strikes. Garza a check of Kendrick at second. Pitch to Conger. Got him swinging. Good sharp slider. 2 strikeouts in the inning. He works around a 1-out single. 1 left for the Angels after 1.5. We are scoreless in Arlington. trade deadline. Which of these players will be the first to be traded before the 31st of July deadline? Alex Rios, Kendricks Morales, Jake Peavy, or Michael Young, or no name? I want you to go to Twitter, pick your answer, and give us a hashtag FS and that player's name, and we will tabulate the results, give them to you later on in the ball game. Adrian Beltre starting things off against Jared Weaver. The pitch is in the dirt. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Beltre, a .307 hitter, 22 home runs, 58 driven in. He has not enjoyed a lot of success against Jared Weaver. 68 at bat, so they are no strangers to each other. Line drive, base hit, left center field. Trout over to cut it off. Beltre, a turn at first, and he puts the brakes on as Trout gets it back in quickly enough to prevent Adrian from trying for a double.
It looked like it could be a double because it was hit exactly between the outfielders. But Trout, with that kind of speed that he has, closed down it pretty quickly. Adrian got almost halfway to second base and realized how quickly Trout got over. He went back. High fastball by Weaver. Ripped into left center field.
Well, the Rangers have their first hit. And whoa, Nelly. Whoa.
He used his arms to stop.
Reverse the thrusters. Now here's A.J. Pierzynski. And he first ball swinging, skies one to left field. Hamilton toward the gap and shading his eyes with his glove. Makes the catch. Back to first is Beltre. And Pierzynski out on one pitch. Now Nelson Cruz.
Now, if he sliced that one to straightaway left field or maybe right over shortstop, might have been a little bit more of a problem for Josh. But that angle wasn't obviously a problem.
Well, Cruz will step in with Beltre at first and 1 out. Nelly at .268. 24 home runs, 71 driven in this year. Nelly on a bit of a downturn of late. He's in one of the parts of being a streaky hitter that aren't so much fun. And he takes high for ball 1. Cruz over his last 10 ball games, as you look at his overall numbers, but Nelson in the 10 games hitting .154. Weaver set, a check of first. And he misses high again. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Cruz, in those last 10 ball games, has dropped 12 points in his batting average. 280 down to its current 268. 2-0 pitch coming. A slow breaking ball, and it's 3-0. Well, Weaver being extremely careful with Nelson Cruz. And part of it, too, is that Weaver is not real comfortable pitching in this ballpark. This is one of the places that has treated him very rudely, one of the few places that he has struggled almost every time he has worked here. Outside, ball 4, and there are 2 aboard for David Murphy. Well, it looked like Weaver just did not want anything to do with Nelson Cruz. Mike Trojan looking on from his accustomed perch in the Angel dugout. The first and second, David Murphy hitting .225. He has started to swing the bat the last couple of weeks a lot better. 157 his average against Jared Weaver, though, in the career. And the first pitch low and outside for ball 1. 17 starts in this ballpark. You see Jared Weaver 4-8 with a .507 earned run average. This is a guy who just about wins every place that he pitches. There's a strike there, and the count evens. He has a .324 career average coming into this year. So this the house of blues for Jared Weaver. Murphy fouls it off to the left, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Murphy over the last 11 games has been a 300 hitter on 9 for 30. Chance here to get the Rangers on the board. There's the span we were just talking about. Got Beltre at second, Cruz at first, 1 out. 1-2 pitch from Weaver. Laid off the breaking ball, and the count evens. And for the folks that are expecting to see our Fox track pitch tracker, it's not available tonight. We had a little hiccup with the technology, so we'll get that repaired and get it back to you, the accustomed spot for you as soon as we can. 2-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Foul tipped into the glove of Hank Conger, and Weaver gets his second strikeout. There are now 2 gone for Giovanni Soto. Again, the Rangers having difficulty, and you go back to even prior to the All-Star break, runners in scoring position, they have just really struggled. We'll look at our phantom cam about that foul tip. Conger out to talk briefly with Jared Weaver. Giovanni Soto steps in. Ranger catcher who has had some playing time help his batting average of late. He's been getting into games and being productive. Takes the pitch outside for ball 1. Giovanni brings a 4-game hitting streak into play here tonight. The average at 198 right now, but that has been on the rise. And he's reached safely in 7 of his last 13 plate appearances. Snap throw to first, and Cruz diving back under the tag of Mark Trumbo. Beltre at second. Cruz saying, come on, go. I want to follow you around. Follow you around the base path. 2 balls, no strikes. And ball 3 is high.
Unusual for Weaver to have almost the same amount of balls as strikes after 25 pitches.
13 and 12, 13 strikes, 12 balls. Well, they're both the right-handers now. Cruz and Soto, he's had trouble throwing strikes. There's a strike. 3-1. "22 consecutive innings. Rangers have failed to put a run on the board." The 3-1 and a breaking ball dips in. It's 3-2. Go with 2 outs now. Both Beltre and Cruz will be off and moving with the next Weaver offering. Giovanni Soto trying to extend the inning. Mitch Moreland will be next as you get a look at that breaking ball that is kind of a get-me-over slider for Jared Weaver. Right-hander okays the sign, a check of the runners. Payoff pitch. Into the hole. His throw to second, not in time. The throw back to first, they get it. Ibar expected Kendrick to be at the bag. He wasn't there, but it was quick enough that he was able to get the out at first. So the side retired, no runs a hit. 2 men are left. Going to the third in Arlington. Rangers nothing, Angels nothing. Park tomorrow will be treated to a reusable tote bag courtesy of Reliant. This handy tote bag is perfect for shopping trips or afternoons at the pool, and you can get one tomorrow when the Rangers continue this series against the Angels. Tickets are available at TexasRangers.com. There you go, Tom.
Our last Ranger game before we moved to Germany. Wow, we hate to lose a Ranger fan, but bet you there's ways where you can get games over in Germany.
I would think so.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being such great fans.
Matt Garza back to the hill. J.B. Shuck is starting things off. He's going to bunt, and he bunts it foul down the third baseline. The speedy Shuck, who is handling the DH chores tonight, trying to bunt his way aboard, but we'll come back and try it with a count of 0-1. Shuck, an outfielder by trade, and he is on with a depleted lineup for Mike Scioscia's club. Shuck hitting .269 against right-handed pitching, and that's as opposed to .328 against left-handers. Garza back to him. And a two-hopper hit out to Ian Kinsler, conveniently up about thigh high. Ian throws out Shuck, one away. And let's take time right now for a Mazda game break. Here's Rick Renner. All right, Rick, thank you. Here we are scoreless. Each ball club with a hit tonight. Back to the top of the Angel order. It's Eric Ibar who lined to Mitch Moreland. First time up. A rip and a miss at the off-speed pitch.
Well, we've seen the pitches that AJ was talking about before the game when he said he has a number of pitches. We've seen a good fastball. That was a changeup. Seen the slow curveball. And for the two strikeouts, it's been a hard. There's a slow curve. For the strikeouts, it's been the hard slider. Well, it is a good assortment of pitches. And he does throw them all for strikes.
Yes, he does. Second time now he's gotten out ahead of the count to Ibar at 0-2. Last time, I think Matt would tell you he didn't quite make the pitch he wanted to. This time, he hit it pretty well to right. Going back his cruise, he stops just shy of the warning track. And Valley puts it away for out number 2. Not sure that Matt got that where he wanted to either, but he has gotten Ibar both times tonight.
Well, you know that Matt can be a free agent after the season. And I think one thing that a lot of Ranger fans hope, one thing I'd love to see, that he really loves his time here, thinks seriously about coming back here, and the Rangers can work out a way to offer him a contract and sign him for years to come.
Yep.
Be a great addition to the staff. You just love, number one, his talent as a pitcher, but the competitiveness that he has. He's a pretty intense competitor out there. And I think that helps other pitchers and rubs off on guys who may not have the same intensity. Amp it up a little bit.
Yeah, pitching with an edge, and he has that edge to it. I really think it's important.
Yeah.
And he does it in a way most of the time. Now, sometimes it kind of gets away from him, but most of the time he gets keyed up and uses it to his advantage. Sometimes it works against him. He might get mad at himself a little too much or fight himself, but when you turn that to your advantage, I think that's really important. There's a base hit up the middle and an 0-2 pitch that time to Calhoun. Well, Matt, a couple of times now, has not gotten the 0-2 pitches exactly where he wanted. This time Calhoun makes him pay with a 2-out single. And Mike Trout coming up.
Yeah, he's trying to get that one in, I think, and came back out over the middle of the plate.
Well, Calhoun with the second hit of the night against Matt Garza. Mike Trout up there walked his first time. That was with 2 outs in the first. He was stranded. Garza's first pitch, and that hits the outside corner. Fastball running away from Trout just a little bit. We were saying first time, Mike Trout very much in the conversation last year for the MVP of the American League. And Miguel Cabrera. Really the only two. There's a snap for the first, and no, not quite able to pick off Calhoun.
There was some potential for an out right there. He was a lot of the way off first base, a long way off first base. Takes a secondary lead, maybe one extra step, but he's back safely. Mitch couldn't quite get the tag down quickly enough to get him.
And Matt Garza now with another 0-2 count, this time to Mike Trout. You're saying, though, that Trout and Cabrera are really the only two guys that were in that conversation. Cabrera ended up doing it as he won the Triple Crown. But heck of a year for Mike Trout. Take a look at tonight's Ford leaderboard and go back to the hits leaders in the American League and in Major League Baseball, I should say, since the beginning of last year. You see Trout down there in the fourth spot. Adrian Beltre second behind Miguel Cabrera. Adam Jones in third spot. 1-2, the count to Trout. Six of the 7 home runs that Trout has hit against the Rangers have come in this ballpark. He has been a very, very tough man for the Rangers to deal with. That just missed the inside corner. Pretty good fastball from Garza, well placed, but didn't quite get the call, and it's 2-2. Trout with 51 walks and 82 strikeouts this year. Garza sets a check of first. The 2-2. And the count has gone full. So with 2 outs now, Calhoun will be moving with the next Garza pitch. If Trout is able to get aboard for the second time tonight, Josh Hamilton waits in that on-deck circle.
Well, Trout has a good eye at the plate. He's walked 51 times. Good number of walks for this stage of the season. He generally makes you throw a strike.
A time called as Garza and Soto not quite on the same page. Giovanni, of course, caught Matt Garza when they're with the Cubs quite often. Now Garza says okay. He is ready. The payoff pitch on the way. Got him swinged up. Foul tip straight down. I thought Giovanni had held on to it. Almost got him with that slider.
Yeah, it was a good pitch.
Take it back. That looked like a straight changeup.
Changeup.
Up here, it looked like one of those sliders that went down, but it was the change. Ranger right-hander ready again. Payoff pitch. Skied down the right field line. Nelly Cruz toward the line into foul territory, up against the sidewall, and he runs out of room. It's back into the seats. We'll come back and try it again.
You know, Trout's a good hitter. It's hitting .321. When you can foul off that changeup that Garza threw on the 3-2 pitch. It wasn't a strike. It was down, away, exactly where he wanted to throw it. It was a strikeout pitch out of the strike zone if the hitter swung at it. And still Trout was able to just get a piece of it to stay alive. And then he fouled off a 3-2 slider.
So Garza planting that foot right in front of the rubber. Calhoun the lead from first. Still 3-2 with 2 outs. Just inside, and Garza questioning look into Alan Porter, the home plate umpire. He did not bring up that right hand, and Trout has walked for the second time. Now runners at first and second for Josh Hamilton.
That's close, tough to call. Hamilton swung at the first pitch, a fastball in, and got jammed and flied out to center field his first time up.
Breaking ball in the dirt. Soto keeps it close to home plate, but Calhoun, the runner at second, had read the ball in the dirt very well, so he advances to third. Now runners at the corners with 2 out on the wild pitch. Trout staying at first, primarily because he wants Hamilton to have the benefit of Mitch Moreland holding the runner at first, get that hole opened up. See how that hole on the right side is increased by Mitch having to hold Trout at first. 1 ball, no strikes. Looping drive to right. On comes Cruz. Still coming, and Nelly there. And makes the catch. Second time, and Hamilton has got jammed by Garza's pitch. 2 left aboard on a hit and a walk after 2.5. We are scoreless in Arlington. Rangers and the Angels. Brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. A scoreless ball game. The Angels with 2 hits, the Rangers with 1. And Mitch Moreland starting off and goes after the first pitch. It's a towering fly ball to deep center field. Trout is back at the track and makes the catch.
Well, it's just like the ball he hit in Cleveland yesterday. Good swing, good pitch to hit it right on the good part of the bat. Just missed it, just got underneath it a hair. Out over the plate and up, he just got underneath it. Weaver thought he might have gotten it.
Yep.
You'll be able to see where the ball hits the bat. And that is right on the sweet spot of the bat. Not a great shot. He had one yesterday that I guess was playing right. Ryan Rayburn?
Yeah.
The one that climbed the wall to make that play against him.
He tried to face plant himself
Yeah.
on the wall.
The ball was really carrying yesterday in Cleveland. That one just a little bit too high to get it 405 or 10 feet that you need to hit it out of here. But a good swing by Mitch.
And Leonis Martin, and he asked for time, and it's granted by Alan Porter, the home plate umpire. Martin is strikeout as he started the proceedings tonight for the Rangers offense. Big slow breaking ball, and that dips in. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. I mentioned Leonis in that number 1 slot tonight. Ron Washington mixing things up a little bit, trying to get the Ranger offense out of its doldrums. Foul tipped, and the count moves to 1-2. First time that Leonis Martin has started in the #1 spot. Ian Kinsler had 75 starts, Elvis Andrus 25, and Jurickson Profar the other 5 starts. That ball's hit high in the air. Didn't quite get all that. Calhoun coming in a few steps, makes the grab. There are 2 out. No bases empty for Elvis Andrus. Elvis, remember, those of you who are watching the Cleveland series knew that Elvis extended his career hitting streak to 37 straight games over the Cleveland Indians. Also extended his hitting streak this season to 10 straight games. He has been a .333 hitter in those 10 ball games. Grounded out to short his first time up. And takes a strike from Jared Weaver. Elvis has had very good success over his career against Weaver. .371 average. There's that 10-game hitting streak we were talking about. Pitch outside. Elvis with 2 home runs and 5 RBI against Jared Weaver. Weaver to the wind, the 1-1 pitch. 2-1. That .371 average, by the way, for Elvis is 5th highest among active players against Jared Weaver. And it's the highest by a right-handed batter of anyone. Now the 2-1 on the way. And 3 balls and a strike.
Got a couple of birthdays to get to, Buzz. Start clicking a few of them off. Floretta Smith from North Richland Hills, 100 years old today. Happy birthday, Floretta. Clovis Free from Granbury is 91 years old. Happy birthday, Clovis.
And Elvis pops up the 3-1 pitch. Callaspo coming down the line from third. And right near the line makes the grab. And that will do it.
That would be 3 outs.
Yes, it would be. And none of the Angels want to seem to.
Ibar didn't know it. Caspo didn't know it.
3 up, 3 down. We're going to the 4th inning. Still scoreless in Arlington. Rangers and Angels.
Tom, this was the scene early this afternoon here at the ballpark. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolled in from DeQueen, Arkansas. On board, I think half the town at DeQueen, Arkansas, including Jay at KDQN Country. Jay, you guys understand have a huge following of Ranger fans back there, huh?
That's exactly right. We've got our listeners, fans, and our part of our church family here from First Assembly of God, Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Carry the Rangers 4 English stations and 2 Spanish stations, and we're here to break the losing streak tonight.
All right, there you go, Jay. Good to have you out here. We got the Fox Sports Southwest girls came in, Liddy. Nice matching outfits again. Way to go. Good to see you. Enjoy the rest of the game. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you. Mark Trumbo leading off in the top of the 4th inning. A scoreless ball game. Trumbo struck out as he led off the 2nd for the Halos. It will be Trumbo, Kendrick, and Callaspo facing Matt Garza. Right-hander deals, and a rip and a miss. And a good sharp slider, and Trumbo was hoping for a fastball. At least he swung at it like he was. Trumbo, one of only 13 Major League players with 20 or more home runs and 20 or more doubles this year. To right center field, Cruz going up the alley on the run, reaches up and makes the catch. A full-out reach by Nelson Cruz on the dead run and picks it right out of the air against Mark Trumbo.
That was a nice play by Nelly. He got a good jump, and he was in a dead sprint all the way and was able to run it down right as he got to the warning track, right in front of the 377 sign. That's nice athletic ability to be able to run that ball down. Beautiful play. Well, Matt Garza's appreciative of that. Leadoff hitter. Instead of being on second, he's back in the dugout.
Some defense being played here by the Rangers in the early going. Here's Howie Kendrick, who singled to left his first time. And Garza deals strike 1.
A couple of more birthdays. Eloise Price from Sweetwater, 84 years old today. Jack Hale from Andrews, Texas, is 81. Curveball's a strike. Ruth Miller from Weatherford is 91. Lucille Boren is 86. And Charles and Cecile Crumpler from Waco are celebrating their 52nd wedding anniversary. So congratulations, everybody.
0-2 pitch. And a fly ball to right. That chases Cruz back a couple of steps. Nelly there makes the grab. That is out number 2. Now we'd like to show you Wendy's. Now that's better. How about Matt Garza with a 106 earned run average since June 16th. That's the best in Major League Baseball. MLB ERA, the whole league, 383. Now that's better. Matt Garza, 1/3 the ERA of the rest of baseball. Pretty impressive. He has really been dealing since he came over here. Alberto Callaspo takes the first pitch for ball 1. Callaspo tapped one right back to Garza, his first time. Garza to the wind, the 1-0 pitch. A strike to the outside corner. Callaspo, a modest 2-game hitting streak coming into play here tonight. He takes the next pitch low. Folks, a quick reminder to play Lotto Texas with Extra for your chance to win Texas-sized jackpots. It's Texas' original jackpot game, and it's available at your favorite lottery retailer. 2-1 the count as Garza goes to the wind. Off speed and catches the outside corner. 2-2.
He just floated that changeup in.
And a nice crowd on hand here tonight, getting supportive of Matt Garza. That pitch up and in. And we'll take a look at this last pitch, the changeup. You guys want to know what a circle changeup looks like? That's a half circle. Move the thumb all the way up to where it's touching the index finger. That's a full circle changeup. But Matt Garza throws one that really is a fairly easy changeup to throw. You throw it just like your fastball. Just put a lot of skin around the ball, on the ball. Chopper foul. The more skin you have on the ball, the more fingers touching the ball, the slower the ball is going to go coming out of your hand.
If you throw a ball slow, you're just playing catch. Does your arm pronate like that too?
Yeah, not as much.
Or do you have to throw it hard to make your arm do that?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I think it does it a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah. Payoff pitch. Got him swinging.
Oh, what a slider.
Woo. Gallasco doesn't strike out very often, but Garza got him that time. 3 up and 3 down. First time Garza sent the Angels down in order. After 3.5. Rangers nothing, Angels nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. Fox Sports Southwest for Chevy Hometown Kids. It's not about the score, it's about the experience. Ian Kinsler leading off the Ranger 4th inning. Jared Weaver to work, and he drops in the slow breaking ball to Kinsler. It is 0-1. Ian, a ground ball to short, back in the 1st inning. Rangers with just 1 hit. That's from the man in the on-deck circle, Adrian Beltre. And the ball is a little bit high to Ian. Kinsler hitting at .275 as he faces Weaver. And you can see that Ian has enjoyed hitting against the Angels. Off the end of the bat, that will reach the seats as it slices away from Mark Trumbo. The count moves to 1-2. Kinsler with more home runs and RBIs, and doubles for that matter, against the Angels than any other team that he's played against. High and tight. 2-2. Kinsler, 19 home runs over the years and 60 runs driven in. Not all of them against Jared Weaver, but this wouldn't be a bad time to get in that column and Weaver also. The 2-2 pitch. In the dirt. Well, Kinsler trying to get aboard to start things off here in the 4th inning. Adrian Beltre, the Ranger cleanup hitter, will be next. Weaver to the line, the payoff pitch. Fouled away to the right. Weaver still not a typical Jared Weaver night. 44 pitches, 25 strikes, and 19 balls. That's very unlike Jared Weaver. Although it looks like in this ballpark that maybe the ballpark has taken a toll on him mentally, because he's pitched very carefully to quite a few guys here tonight. Chopped out to short where Ibar has it. On to first, that is out number 1, and we'll bring up Adrian Beltre. Well, we'll go back to last inning. Tom was talking about a guy has arm pronating. Watch after Garza releases the ball, how his thumb and right forearm go to the inside, turn it over. That's called pronation. And what it's from is the ball doesn't weigh very much, 5.5 ounces. But when your hand's going 85, maybe 90 miles an hour when you release it, and your hands are not directly behind the ball, the force of the ball causes your hand to flip over. It pushes back against your fingers and just turns your hand to the inside a little bit. Your thumb goes down as you release the ball. Everybody does that. It looks a lot worse when you slow it down. Beltre gives it a pretty good ride down the right field line, but it's back out of play.
Now your hand does that on a curveball too, right?
Yeah, it can. It can. It just depends on how you release the curveball there. But yeah, it can do that on the curveball too.
You would think when you throw a curveball, it would be your hand would be trying to do the exact opposite, and you wouldn't expect it to go that way.
Yeah, your fingers are doing the exact opposite.
You would think when you watch that, you would think, man, he must be throwing a screwball, trying to make it curve the other way.
And the reason for Tommy John surgery so much is when your hand goes the other way. When what's that, pronation and whatever the opposite of that is. When it goes to when your hand flips under, so your thumb's up.
Oh, okay.
Instead of down. That's when you put all the stress on the inside of that elbow. Beltre, a fly ball to center. Trout coming in a few steps, makes the grab. That is out number 2. Take a look at Jared Weaver. You watch something like this with Weaver, you figure, how in the world can he not hurt himself?
I'm going to wait for a slider that Garza throws, or his slow curveball, and look at it and see what it does.
Okay.
Pretty fascinating to watch that slow motion replay like that.
Here's A.J. Przinsky, who flied out on the first pitch that he saw tonight from Jared Weaver. Takes that pitch for strike 1. A.J. 10 home runs, 36 RBI. Pokes that one foul off to the left, and the count goes to 0-2. A.J., as you can see, the last 6 ball games, he's fallen off a bit. He's 4 for 24. That's a 167 average. And he hits this one high in the air, twisting down the left field line. That will work its way out of play. And we'll try it again at no balls and 2 strikes. The Weaver, who has not given up a run in his last 3 starts now, and that covers about 18 innings of work. He has gotten on one of those rolls where, like all good pitchers, he can be extremely tough. Just doesn't make many mistakes. Rangers have their hands full here tonight, but they've got Matt Garza, who has not made many mistakes of his own. Tapper over the mound, behind the bag at second. Kendrick off balance throw gets Przinsky, and that will do it. Rangers out in order. That is 8 straight now sent down at the hands of Jared Weaver. We have finished 4 here in Arlington. Rangers nothing, Angels nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. now through August the 13th. And enter to win free Rangers tickets and a VIP Rangers experience. Visit otbfanzone.com for more details. Now we head to the 5th inning here in Arlington. Scoreless ball game, a good pitcher's duel. Well played defensively. And speaking of defense, the guy that's joining us now, the doctor of defense, Mark McLemore. He's also co-host of Rangers Live before and after Rangers ball games. Mac, thanks for stopping by. And this little unusual seeing both these teams, the Angels and the Rangers, mired in pretty good offensive downturns at the same time.
This is very unusual. These two teams have been, basically the powerhouses of the AL West over the last 5 or 6 years, and to see them both struggling the way they are, especially offensively, it's just something we don't see very often.
Right. Yeah, and no easy fix for either one of them. Pujols is out for the Angels, so that's not an answer. And Rangers, injuries have played a factor, but boy, consistency and inconsistency up throughout the lineup seems to be the key, I guess.
It really has been. Guys there are a few guys that just aren't having their normal year. And I think if those guys were having their normal years, it would be a little bit different. But, as far as seeing, them be as inconsistent as they've been all year long, where, they get hot, they'll play well for a week, and then they'll get cold. And it just seems to be team-wide when that happens. That's just pretty unusual.
You both can address this. That's got to start grinding on hitters, doesn't it, to have that team-wide thing going to where each guy almost has to feel like, hey, I've got to take it all on me and try and get it done myself. Then you get yourself in a deeper hole.
Yeah, after a while, that's what it starts to feel like. Okay, we've got to, we know we're not scoring runs. We're getting our starting pitchers going out here, going 6, 7, 8 innings, and we're getting 2 and 3 hits a game. It starts to wear on you as a team, and you want to change that, obviously.
Rip and a miss. Garza working over Hank Conger pretty well. Gets his 4th strikeout of the night, 1 away.
Yeah, you also run into you're not scoring. You're not playing all that well. You have a good game against Cleveland where you finally score 8 runs, and then you give up 11 runs. So you lose one where you did score. Then you think, okay, the bats are back. But then you run into Justin Masterson, who, has thrown 3 shutouts this year, and he had great stuff. And even though Ubaldo Jimenez might not be at the top of his game all year long, on any given night, he's got good stuff, and he did yesterday. Then you come back home and you go, okay, we'll get back home and start swinging the bats, and it's Jared Weaver. So, there's a lot of things going on. It's kind of like a perfect storm. You're facing tough guys. You're not swinging the bats well. You have to come out of it sooner or later, but sometimes it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and the pitcher has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, they're definitely not making it any easier. I mean, you look at that, the pitchers they've had to face over the last week. Yeah. It's a pretty good lineup.
Then I guess you ask this question, the other way of looking at it. You mentioned earlier, Buzz, that Weaver has not pitched well in this ballpark. Rangers have scored a lot of runs against him here earlier in the season. They hit a home run, scored 5 runs in 5 innings against him. So is he pitching better today, or is he pitching his normal game when the Rangers would normally get runs off him, but they're not swinging the bats? It's hard to look at the game and know for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to know for sure, Tom. I think you're right. That's a great point. 3-1 the count to J.B. Shuck. 1 out, base is empty. And Shuck asked for and is granted time. Shuck hit a 2-hopper out to Ian Kinsler, his first time up there. 3-1 pitch. That ball is hammered to right field. Cruz is going back. He stops to watch this one go. It's gone. J.B. Shuck with his first home run, and the Angels take a 1-0 lead.
Well, you got the DH hitting 9th. But he's hitting 283. He's a speed guy at the bottom of the lineup. A lot of times the manager likes to put that guy 9th to go along with the first and second hitters in the lineup. But 3-1, he's a better hitter, and you got a belt-high fastball. You got enough of it to get it out of the ballpark. I'd say he misjudged that one a little bit out there, but nice try.
It's probably why he's in the stands.
That is Shuck's first major league home run. Advance he had before were with Houston, came over to the Angels, and that phantom can showing you the release by Matt Garza. Rip and a miss by Ibar. But J.B. Shuck, his first major league home run, gets the Angels on the board 1-0. Ibar, for the third consecutive at bat now, has taken the count to 0-2. He is 0 for 2. Line to third, line to first, and fly to right field. Pulls that one foul. Well, Matt Garza, who is or has become accustomed to throwing in small ballparks, Wrigley Field would qualify, and certainly Rangers ballpark to right field anyway, with the wind blowing in, is a small ballpark. I'm not intimidated by it by any means, but gives up the home run that may not be out in some field, in some parts. 1-2, the count to Ibar. Garza back to the plate. Now 2-2. Angels as a team now with 111 home runs. They are 8th in the American League, at the middle of the pack in team home runs. But they're up among the leaders in both average and on-base percentage. They're 4th in average at 265. That pitch is low, and Ibar has come back from 0-2 to fill the count. So Eric Ibar trying to get aboard with one out. He will be followed by Cole Calhoun.
If Garza's had any problem today, it's been when he's gotten hitters 1-2 or 0-2. He's frequently run the count to 3-2.
Payoff pitch is low, ball 4. No, Ibar draws the one-out walk. That's the third walk issued by Garza tonight. The other two were to Mike Trout.
Yeah, Ibar actually took that pitch like he's a batter that walks a lot. That's only his 14th walk all season long. Played off a pitch that I think a lot of times he normally swings at. Showed a good eye, though, in that at bat.
Actually, I swung at that pitch earlier in the count.
Yeah.
The 1-on, 1-out, a run across here in the top of the 5th inning. Cole Calhoun, who is 1 for 2, will step to the plate. Ibar with good speed at first. Garza will keep a pretty close eye on him. Had him leaning, and the pickoff just not quite in time. Ibar took that little jab step toward second base before he retreated. Ibar, 5 stolen bases, and he's been caught 4 times, so 5 out of 9. Calhoun waiting as Garza comes set. Left center field, that sends Martin back. Leonis there makes the catch. And back to first goes Ibar. Calhoun did it pretty well, but Leonis Martin positioned perfectly, got a good jump, and hauled it in for out number 2. Now Mike Trout will come to the plate. Trout has walked both times, as you can see, that he has faced Matt Garza here tonight. Trout now 53 walks for the season. Ibar the lead from first, and he's driven back by a Matt Garza throw. Garza okays the sign and comes set. 1 ball, no strikes. The on-base percentage Mike Trout, fourth in the American League, just now slipping down below the 400 mark. Miguel Cabrera, of course, at 455, the leader. David Ortiz and Joe Mauer are numbers 2 and 3. The 1-0 pitch coming from Garza. To center field, base hit. Martin cuts it off, knocks it down. He's getting into second base. Trout going for 2. He's in with a slide. Stopping at third is Ibar. And a good job by Leonis Martin to get to that ball and knock it down, prevent it from going past him. If it does, that is another Angel run.
Trout is so fast. Most guys would have been thrown out at second base, but Trout's so fast, he beat that throw in from Martin. It was a good throw.
I don't think most guys would have even tried to go to second base.
No. Boy, he hit that ball hard, too. He hit that right on the sweet spot of the bat. Martin picks it up and got a great arm. He has to be very aware of the runner at third base. Important for him to catch that ball cleanly. He skips away from him a little bit. Ibar would have been able to score. He must have been some kind of football player.
Yeah,
boy.
no kidding. Well, Josh Hamilton up there again with runners on and 2 outs. He had 1 aboard in the first, flied out to center. Check swing on the breaking ball. It's inside for ball 1. He had 2 on in the third inning and fly to right field. Both times Garza has been able to jam him with a fastball. Here he's got Ibar at third, Trout at second, and 2 outs. Garza working from the stretch. Ground ball past the dive of Beltre. That'll score 2. Hamilton taking exactly what the Rangers gave him, and it's 3-0 Los Angeles. An opposite field single, drives in a pair. Hamilton now 45 runs driven in. And he's turned this into a 3-run Angel inning.
Hit it right off the end of the bat. Ball's tailing away from him, probably out of the strike zone. But with Adrian all the way over toward shortstop, that little dinky ground ball just slips right into left field, turns into a 2-run single.
Mark Trumbull, a rip and a miss at the off-speed pitch. Trumbull, a strikeout, and a line drive deep to right center field that Nelly Cruz ran down right in front of the Ranger bullpen. Well, the Angels 3 runs on 3 hits this inning. And also had a walk mixed in there. A late cut and a miss. Trumbo down in an 0-2 hole. Trumbo taking his time getting back in there. Hamilton at first had a fairly modest lead, inches off the bag a little further. Got him swinging. 3 pitches, Trumbo is gone. The Angels are out, but they score 3 times on 3 hits and a walk. They lead 1. We're halfway through the ballgame. It's the Angels 3, the Rangers nothing. Now, bottom of the fifth has arrived, and Nelson Cruz starting things off takes strike one. Cruz, Murphy, and Soto. First three Rangers to do the swinging against Jared Weaver, who now has a 3-run advantage with which to work. Ball high. Cruz drew a walk his first time. It's the only walk issued by Jared Weaver tonight. Well, the Angels put 3 hits together with a walk and score 3 times in the fifth inning. Rangers need to bust out of their offensive malaise. It's been tough. 25 consecutive innings now. They have not scored a run. Weaver, a long look in. Now time called. Cruz thought that was plenty of time and asked if he could back out. Now the 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
Well, as you see, Weaver has a kind of an unorthodox windup, and his mechanics look a little different than you normally see. Can't say that it's not effective.
Yep.
But is that something you can teach a young kid?
No, it isn't. it's kind of it's kind of like trying to teach a young hitter how to hit like Vlad Guerrero. It ain't gonna happen.
Good luck with that. Huh?
Yeah. No, this is something that. Well, you remember Jared Weaver's brother Jeff had that funky sidearm thing. He was kind of a mess.
I wonder if their dad taught them to pitch like that.
You know, I'll guarantee you that the older brother got it, and the younger brother picked it up.
Yeah.
Murphy hits it pretty well to right center, but that's going to stay in the park as Trout able to get back and make the catch. There are 2 gone. Time for a Monster game break once again. Here's Rick Renner. All right, Rick, thank you. Here it's the Angels leading 3-0 over the Rangers. Rangers have been held to just 1 hit. Giovanni Soto. It's the breaking ball that stays high for ball 1. Soto rounded out his first time up. Now, Mackie, you mentioned Weaver being effective. How tough is that for a hitter to see somebody that's that much different than all the other pitchers you see and adjust to them?
For a right-hander, it's extremely difficult. Being a left-handed hitter, it wasn't that bad. I actually liked facing his brother. It was, a challenge, but I could still see the ball.
Right.
But for right-handed hitters, he's throwing across his body, and he's really hiding the ball for an awfully long time, so it's got to be tough. I can't even imagine what it would be like for a right-hander to face Jared Weaver.
Plus, most of the time, his control is virtually impeccable. So it's, wherever he wants to go, he can go there. And most of the time you see a guy throw like that, it's pretty hard as you get a look at a hitter would see the A on the cap and not see the ball until it just came out from behind. That's what you're talking about, Mac, about hard to pick up and hides the ball a long time. It's outside. But most of the time, a guy that has an awkward delivery, awkward-looking delivery, has a hard time of getting the ball on the first base side of home plate. So even if you're a right-handed hitter, you feel, okay, well, I don't have to worry about it out there. He's going to probably throw inside to me for a strike and have a little bit of advantage. But Weaver can hit both sides of the corner, or both sides of the plate when he's dealing. 3-2 pitch to Soto. That's fouled back. Giovanni staying alive. Well, over the years, he has been remarkably consistent. Right-hander getting set for the 3-2 pitch again to Giovanni Soto. And another foul ball. Go back to the time that Jared Weaver came up in 2006 with the Angels. He had 19 starts in his inaugural year and went 11-2. The next year he had 28 starts, 13-7. Then he won 11 games, 16 games, 13 games, 18 games, And last year, 20 games. He went 20-5. And another chopper foul.
I would say that's pretty effective.
Yeah, over that time, he's been 50 games over 500.
That's nothing.
That's the definition of a #1 starter.
Yep. Sure is.
There's the definition of a happy little camper right there. Got all the autographs on his hat.
Soto making Weaver work here with 2 outs in the 5th. Another foul ball. Conger flashing the signs out. Again, a 3-2 pitch. Again, a foul ball. Weaver keeps dealing, and Giovanni keeps fouling. Ten pitches so far in this at bat. We're going to have at least 11. It's on the way. Got him swinging. Pulled the string, got the strikeout. Rangers gone in order. The 11 straight now sent down by Weaver. Mac, thanks for joining us. We'll look for you right after the game on Rangers Live.
See you.
3-0 Angels as we head to the 6th inning. Brought to you by the all-new Mazda 6. When you change everything, you change everything. A 3-0 Angels lead as we head to inning number 6. It will be Howie Kendrick to start things off. Ranger fans with their war paint on, hoping for a comeback here tonight. Kendrick 1 for 2. He singled with 1 out in the 2nd. Advanced as far as 2nd, but was stranded there. He's also flied to right field. Garza had that breaking ball slip out of his hand. Went right over Kendrick's helmet. 1 ball and no strikes. Kendrick, as you can see, right back to the 300 mark after that single in the 2nd. Takes the next pitch high, and it's 2-0. Kendrick 3 for his last 11 trips to the plate. He had been in a pretty good offensive downturn. Just went 4 for 21 in the series against the Oakland A's. It's out of play to the right. And the count goes to 2-1. Hendrick, though, has had good success this year against the Rangers. Comes into play here tonight. A .348 hitter this year with a double and a couple of home runs. Swing and a miss. It's 2-2. Angels 3 runs on 5 hits against Matt Garza. The Rangers no runs on just 1 hit against Jared Weaver. Fly ball right field. That sends Cruz back. Nelly at the warning track halfway back and makes the catch before he bumps up in against the paddock. Oh, 1 gone. Alberto Callaspo coming up. Let's say hello to Jim Knox once again. Jim.
Hey, Buzz, one of the longest lines here at the Rangers ballpark is the concession stand, the Taco Dog. New food item here. Check it out. 100% all beef Nolan Ryan hot dog. You got wrapped around a crispy taco shell and a sausage roll, cheese, sour cream, you name it. And you also have Andy polishing it off pretty good. How is it, Andy? I think that means pretty good. I think it means great. Buzz.
All right, Knoxy.
Knox, if you get a chance, bring one down to the truck, will you? Kurt Deichert's drooling right now. Oh, you can't eat in the truck. I forgot about that.
May want to bring 2 or 3 down there. Alberto Callaspo fouls off the first pitch. 0-1 the count. Callaspo 0 for 2, a ground out and a strikeout against Garza. Just missing low and outside. That evens the count. Giovanni Soto handling the catching chores tonight. Garza to the wind. And he drops the breaking ball in, but it misses inside. It's 2-1. One out on the top of the 6th inning. And Garza trying to dispose of the Angels. Let the Rangers get back and take their hacks in the bottom of the 6th. Need to score some runs. It's been 26 innings. It's the Rangers to put a run on the board. Callaspo hits a 2-hopper out to Ian Kinsler, and that is out number 2. Now Hank Conger, the catcher, will come to the plate. Conger has struck out both times tonight that he's faced Matt Garza. Conger, the switch hitting catcher, and he and Chris Iannetta handling the catching chores for Mike Scioscia. And the first pitch just off the inside corner. Garza peering in for the sign. The right-hander says, yep, we're going to do that. 1-0 pitch. In the air to left field. Murphy into the gap a few steps. David waiting for it to come down. Puts it away, and that'll do it. Another 1-2-3 inning for Matt Garza. The Angels are gone. We finished 5.5. It's the Angels 3, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. tonight's jackpot is worth $300 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Carol Poling from Fort Worth. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during the inning, Carol Poling from Fort Worth will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Mitch Moreland will start things off against Jared Weaver. Weaver's retired the last 11 in a row that he has faced. The first pitch bunted, but bunted foul over toward the Angel dugout, back into the seats. 0-1 the count.
Mitch hoping to catch Callaspo back somewhere in the shortstop range and just drop a bunt down, get a leadoff hit around, anything to get a base runner.
Now, the Angels don't overshift with Moreland quite as much as
some
other teams we've seen.
It would have to be a decent bunt.
Weaver with the 0-1 pitch. And a chopper foul by Dave Anderson, the Ranger first base coach, and down the right field line. Count moves to 0-2. Mitch, a fly ball to center field that sent Mike Trout all the way back to the wall his first time. And this came up a little bit short. Weaver, glove up in front of his face, goes into the wind. The right-hander deals. And Moreland pops it up. Third base side of the diamond. Ibar calls off Callaspo and makes the grab. That is out number 1. So Moreland pops out on an 0-2 pitch. Now back to the top of the order. Leonis Martin will step up. Well, with this scoreless streak for the Rangers reaching epic proportions, the PR staff of the Rangers, of course, doing their due diligence. They came up with the longest streak in Ranger history, the longest scoreless streak. There's a bunt base hit by Leonis Martin. Maybe that'll get it going.
Hey, the bunt is becoming a force for Martin. He is a really good bunter, and he can bunt it to first, he can bunt it to third. Gets out of the box halfway. He looks like he's halfway to first base when he bunts the ball.
Check out the Phantom cam.
I love this cam. Look at the concentration on his eyes.
That Phantom cam made it look like Leonis had just seen the biggest hamburger he'd ever come across. His eyes got big, and that was a good bunt. Well, he just dropped that right in no man's land. So he is aboard. That is just the second hit of the night for the Rangers. So Martin aboard with one out. Elvis Andrus is stepping to the plate 0 for 2 tonight. And maybe a chance here in the 6th inning for the Rangers to use a little of that speed at the top of the order. Even though they trail by 3, I think it's probably early enough in the game that you might consider trying to make something happen. Get the runner in motion. Breaking ball catches the outside corner. It is 0-1. No, I was saying about the Rangers' all-time scoreless streak. You have to go back to 1972, and a time period that Tom Grieve is very familiar with.
I don't know how much I played in that streak, but yeah, when I did a lot to probably make that streak happen.
28 consecutive scoreless innings. There's a good bunt down the third base line. Nice play by Callaspo to get Andrus. Now Elvis trying to follow the lead of Leonis Martin, dropped down a dandy bunt, but Callaspo, a very solid third baseman, made a nice play.
If Callaspo is back quite a ways, that bunt had a chance. Pretty good bunt. In order to beat it out where Callaspo was playing, though, he would have had to bunt it a little bit softer and make Callaspo come in a little farther. But he makes a nice bare hand play on it. See, Callaspo's about even in the bag. Good try, trying to make something happen, get somebody on base any way you can.
Now Elvis trying to get aboard with that base hit. That was a base hit for had in mind anyway on the bunt. We'll see if they gave him a sacrifice. They won game last week, or last homestand here. Similar situation. They gave him a sacrifice. Here's Ian Kinsler, and he takes the pitch low for ball 1. And they're going to give him a sacrifice, which
it's tough when you're down.
Yeah.
You're down 3-0 in the 6th inning.
Yeah.
With one out. But I guess the rule book says you give the batter the benefit of the doubt on that.
1-0 pitch.
I would tend to do the scoring based on what I thought his intention was, and there's no way he was intending to sacrifice bunt. But I don't think that matters when you go to score it, at least by the way we've seen it scored this last week.
Okay, they took the sacrifice away.
Okay, good. I feel better.
No sacrifice.
I think
that's the right call.
I think in the other game it might have been a tie game.
Kinsler a drive to center. Coming on Trout, he can't get there. Martin around third will score, and your streak is safe, Tom. 3-1. Angels, that breaks a scoreless streak of 26 2/3 innings.
It looks like the fans know it by the way they're cheering. Well, a lot of us on that 72 team worked pretty hard to build that streak. As hard as the Rangers tried to break it, I'm kind of glad it stands, because when you break a scoreless streak of the 72 Rangers, you've really had something, because I think our team batting average that year was about 220.
Hey, any claim to fame is worth keeping.
I don't know that we had a guy on that whole team that could have played on this team. Other than a few pitchers.
Might have a point.
Some of them developed into players that could have down the road, but in 1972, Toby Hara eventually certainly could have played on this team.
0-1 the count to Adrian Beltre. Base hit center field. Kinsler making the turn at second. He puts the brakes on as Trout gets the ball back in. And Adrian Beltre with his second hit of the night. Rangers have something going here in the sixth. They have the tying runs aboard with 2 out, and A.J. Brzezinski is coming up, but not before Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, heads out to the mound.
High fastball. Beltre. Weaver's getting out of the way of that one. I don't blame him. Beltre's belted 2 high fastballs in this game. Great look at his form and where that ball hit the bat.
Well, Butcher out to slow things down a little bit, give Weaver an opportunity to catch his breath. No action in Mike Socha's bullpen, so it's just a let's settle down type of meeting. Here's AJ, who has flied to left and grounded to second. Well, the tying runs are on base. 2 outs, and Weaver from the stretch. 0-1. Boy, AJ in a situation like this really likes to go after that first pitch.
He does.
Gets very aggressive. See Brzezinski in the last 16 games against these Angels, walloping the ball at a 377 clip. Outside and high, and the count evens at a ball and a strike. Well, this all started with 1 out. Leonis Martin dropped down a bunt, beat it out for a base hit. Elvis tried to do the same, it was thrown out. And then the RBI single by Kinsler, the base hit by Beltre. A rip and a miss as Weaver pulled the string. A ball and 2 strikes. And Conger going out to talk to Weaver. Well, we got so excited talking about the Rangers snapping their streak that run against Weaver also snapped Weaver's scoreless streak. It had gotten to 19 2/3 innings before Ian Kinsler ended that one. Kinsler at second, getting his lead. Beltre at first. Weaver's 1-2 pitch. Now 2-2.
Oh, Weaver wanted that one.
Socha always wants it, so that's nothing new.
Asked where the pitch was. The umpire said inside. Mike said okay. He's trying to come back. Catcher pulls his glove a little bit toward the plate. Usually that's a sign that it wasn't quite on the plate.
Swing and a miss, and Brzezinski is gone. Well, the Rangers are finished in the 6th. They do score a run on 3 hits, but they leave 2. We're going to the 7th. It's now the Angels 3, the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Angel advantage as we head to the 7th inning. All the damage done in the 5th inning. Josh Hamilton capped it off with a 2-run single. Ian Kinsler, meanwhile, broke the Rangers' dry streak with the RBI base hit in the 6th inning. Snapped a 26-plus inning scoreless streak. Matt Garza back to work. J.B. Shuck to lead things off. Shuck in the 5th inning powered his first major league home run into the lower home run porch in right field and gave the Angels their 1-0 lead. Garza's 0-1 pitch. Got him on the fist, and that ball was pulled foul. 0-2. Well, other than that 5th inning when Matt kind of had things get out of hand a little bit, he has been very good again tonight. 3 of the 5 hits, all 3 runs coming in that 5th inning.
Yeah, you know, the 2-run single by Josh really was not any artistic success. He hit a little dribbler right off the end of the bat. Well, Chuck can stop down pretty good.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, Adrian was pulled over a little bit. The pitch was away, and he just dribbled it past third base for 2 runs.
Well, fans, you can bring a taste of Rangers Ballpark to your next event with the Ballpark Express food truck. Choose from a preset menu, or you can customize your own menu from all the ballpark favorites of yours. Visit TexasRangers.com/Ballpark Express for more information on how you can book the Ballpark Express at your next picnic or event. Back to the top of the order for the Angels. 4th time for Eric Ibar to come to the plate. He had a very big walk in that 5th inning. Walked right after Shuck's home run, and Cole Calhoun flied out. And then Trout had the double. The 2-run single was set up for Josh Hamilton. 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Ibar hitting at .282. Switch hitting shortstop. Much better from the left side of the plate is Eric Ibar. Pops this one up on the infield. Adrian Beltre waiting for it to come down, and Elvis right behind him.
Elvis is a copycat. He learned that move from Adrian. This buzz, I think, is a curveball from the Phantom camp. So,
okay, we'll take a look at it.
Does it do this? Does he pronate the same way?
Yep,
sure did.
Yep.
And then he comes down. That is so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, his arm ends like you would expect it to end when
right.
you make a curve, but you wouldn't expect it to turn the other way before it does that.
Yeah, and all that pronation that happens after you release the ball.
Yeah,
it's a weird deal.
I guess to people that understand it like you, it's not that weird. But to people like me, it's definitely weird.
Well, I've just seen it probably more than you. I don't understand it. It's although I've got enough scars on my arm, I probably could not do that anymore if I needed to. Cole Calhoun tonight is 1 for 3, singled back in the 3rd inning. Other than that, he has flied out a couple of times. 1 ball, 1 strike to count as Garza comes back to him. Now 2-1. Garza, you see, just over the 100 pitch mark, 105. Very manageable total for Matt Garza, something he's accustomed to doing. And that being the key for the pitch count. If you're accustomed to throwing that many pitches, not a problem. Out of play to the left. It's 2-2. '29-year-old Matt Garza back up on top of the hill. Trying to shut the Angels down here, give the Rangers a chance to do some more damage. Got him swinging. Foul tipped into the glove of Giovanni Soto. And it's a 1-2-3 inning, 7 straight now, set down by Garza. Stretch time at Rangers Ballpark. Angels leading the Rangers 3-1 on Fox Sports Southwest. In the 7th inning, they're trailing Jared Weaver and the Angels by a 3-1 count. Nelson is 0 for 1 tonight. He has struck out. He's also walked, and he takes a strike from Jared Weaver. That was Weaver's 87th pitch of the evening. 59 strikes, 28 balls for the right-hander. Nelly hitting .267 as he takes just off the plate inside. Cruz, a .285 career hitter against the Los Angeles Angels. Chopper, that got a pretty good piece of his front foot or front leg. You have to walk that off for a moment. Now the in-game box score brought to you by Subway. Rangers able to put together 3 of those 4 hits for a run in their half of the 6th inning. Leonis Martin, the bunt single, and he came around to score on Ian Kinsler's RBI single. Pitch is high. The count is even at 2-2 to Nelson Cruz. Cruz trying to get something going here for the Rangers. Weaver into the wind. And that breaking ball is low and outside. Well, the count has gone full. If now he can get aboard to start this inning off, the Rangers would have the tying run coming to the plate in the person of David Murphy. Payoff pitch on the way. Breaking ball swung on and missed. Threw him a hanger. That might have been too high of a hanger for Nelly Cruz to do anything with. A one away, and Chevron would like to bring you the upcoming matchup for tomorrow night. Derek Holland and C.J. Wilson, a battle of left-handers. Holland at 8-6, Wilson at 11-6. With you at 7 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest tomorrow night. David Murphy, a rip and a foul back, 0-1.
A high slider. I think on a lot of occasions, if Nelly's really swinging the bat well and got his timing down, would be a hit that he drives.
Fastball, strike to the outside corner. Murph down a hole at 0-2. That strikeout, by the way, for Weaver is 6th of the night. David has one of those strikeouts. That was back in the 2nd inning. And he tops this one out to Howie Kendrick, the second baseman, 2 away. Now time for another Mazda game break. Here's Rick Renner. Rick. All right, Rick, thank you. The Indians played pretty well. The 3-game series they just took from the Rangers. Pitched well, and they had timely hitting. Giovanni Soto is grounded out and struck out tonight. 0 for 2, trying to extend his hitting streak to 5 games. Takes the pitch inside for ball 1. Michael Kahn, the right-hander, up and loosening in the left center field bullpen for the Angels. Soto pops it up behind home plate. That will reach the seats about 7 rows back. 1-1 the count. Now we mentioned about Matt Garza having really the one bad streak in the 5th inning, and you say the same thing has been true for Jared Weaver. His one bad streak came in the 6th, but it only cost him 1 run instead of the 3 that it cost Matt Garza.
Yep, the Angels got that hit. The Rangers didn't quite get that last hit.
The 2-1 pitch on the way. Hard hit by the dive of Castro and down toward the corner. Soto into second as the ball caroms out from Josh Hamilton, but Giovanni hanging on with a 2-out double. His 5th double of the year, and he now has hit safely in his last 5 ball games.
Hey, that's some good at-bats tonight. He had that 11 pitch at bat earlier in the ball game. This time he hits a slider. Look at it, right in the middle of the plate. A phantom cam. His head right down, watching the ball hit the bat. Right by Cayasco.
Soto now with 4 of his last 7 hits going for extra bases. It's his 3rd double in the last couple of weeks for him. So he's in scoring position. Here's Mitch Moreland. Moreland, a fly ball to deep center and a pop out to short. Change up, floats in high for ball 1. The Rangers would love to have this guy break loose. Mitch has been in a struggle ever since he came back off the disabled list. That's 32 games ago. He's hit just 156. Rip and a miss. Slow hook that time by Jared Weaver. A ball and a strike. For his last 22 times to the plate is Mitch Moreland. Now we've had a lot of negative streaks in tonight. Maybe that'll be one that we get rid of. 1-2. See Weaver, very, very consistent. Now the right-hander's ready. The 1-2 pitch. Very high. They're having like a jack-in-the-box coming out of that crouch of his to make sure he snagged that ball. 2-2 to Mitch Moreland. Soto, the runner at second, establishing his lead right there at the bottom of your screen. Pulled on the ground to first base. Trumbo has it, takes it to the bag, and that will do it. The Rangers get a 2-out double by Giovanni Soto, but leave him stranded. We're going to the 8th. It's the Angels 3, the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Have to give it to the Ferguson family. It says, hey, Tom, our last Ranger game, They're moving to Germany because why, Cindy? Why?
My job.
Your job? Well, we got some connections here. How about an usher job or something? Huh?
I don't think so.
Congratulations. Here's the bag, the Progressive bag. Congratulations, Progressive fan of the game. Anything else, Cindy, you'd like to say?
Go Rangers!
All right, way to go. Buzz.
All right, Jim, thank you. Well, we're sorry to lose them as patrons here anyway, and maybe they'll follow us in Germany.
It was a memorable last Ranger game for them. They got to meet Jim Knox, and
That's
it doesn't
right.
get any better than that.
Neil Kotz has entered the ball game to take over. And the first pitch to Mike Trout from Kotz is fouled off to the right. It's 0-1.
It was a good start for Matt Garza. Only 5 hits in 7 innings. He gave up 3 runs, struck out 6. And most nights, generally with Ranger teams, you'd be sitting on a chance to win a game.
Up the middle, base hit for Trout. He's 2 for 2 with a pair of walks. And Trout with excellent speed aboard now to start things off here in the 8th inning. And Josh Hamilton coming up. You saw the numbers for Neil Kotz. He last worked a couple of nights ago in Cleveland on Saturday. Worked 2 innings of perfect baseball, had a couple of strikeouts.
Trout got jammed a little bit. Let's see where the ball hits the bat. Yeah, it hit right down near the trademark. So it's not one that he hit right off the sweet part of the bat like he did the line drive double in the 5th. In real action, it's tough to tell exactly where the ball hits the bat. That's one thing nice about the Phantom Cam. You can see exactly whether it hits toward the end, the handle, or the sweet spot.
You know, Josh Hamilton had the big 2-run single, and he was poked through the left side last time up. He's 1 for 3, 15 home runs, now 45 RBI. And again, the Rangers shifted well around to the right side for Hamilton. Adrian Beltre almost to the normal shortstop hole. Now they're going to shift back a little bit the other way. Kotz, a check of Trout. And the fastball fouled off. 0-2 to Hamilton. Dane De La Rosa, tall right-hander out there in the Angels bullpen. He's loosening and loosening in a pretty big hurry, so that may be it for Jared Weaver. And Kotz will drive Trout back with a throw. Trout, of course, a great base stealer, as he showed last year. He's 23 out of 27 this year. Oh, 2 pitch. There goes Trout. Pitch is lined to right field, a base hit. Trout hesitated at second. He will pick up speed, though, and move on to third. And Hamilton, with his second hit of the night, took an 0-2 pitch from Neil Kotz and drilled it right over Ian Kinsler's head. Runners at first and third, nobody out. And Mark Trumbo coming up.
It looked like he's trying to get that ball in, and he didn't. Caught the middle of the plate.
And that's where having a speed guy like Trout will really mess a pitcher up from the standpoint of not being able to focus on the pitch you want to make. Sometimes your attention is a little bit divided between the batter and the runner, and you never make a good pitch when you have that. So Hamilton at first, Trout at third. Nobody out. Trumbo tonight has struck out twice and lined to right field. Angels now with 7 hits and 5 off of Matt Garza, now 2 against Neil Kotz. And the first pitch, fastball, poured right through there for strike 1. Trumbo with the 22 home runs, tied for 8th in the American League in the home run category. Fouled away. 0-2 the count. Well, Neil Cox trying to work out of a pretty ticklish situation. There's runners at first and third and nobody out. Rangers already trail 3-1, and you would hate to have to make up much more ground than that.
Here's where you want a strikeout. No balls and 2 strikes. You can get him to swing at a bad pitch. Good try.
Tried the breaking ball down and in, got it in a good spot, but Trumbo would not offer, and it goes to 1-2.
And a couple of 0-2 pitches hit in this game. I believe that Shuck hit his home run. Shuck's home run on an 0-2 pitch?
I don't recall.
I don't either, really. I better not even say that.
No, I know that hit that Hamilton just got.
Yeah, that was 0-2 for sure.
Kotz with a 1-2 pitch. Got him swing. Ooh. Thought that one stayed in Soto's glove. Almost. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Trumbo taking a look down to Dino Ebel, the third base coach.
Not much you have to worry about as a hitter looking for a sign here.
No.
Just try to make contact, put it in play somewhere.
Rangers, of course, with nobody out, pulling the infield all the way back. It's fouled out of play to the right. Pretty defensive swing by Trumbo. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He threw that one right where Soto asked for it. Soto pointed to the inside and up with his thumb. And that's right where he threw it.
Let's see what Giovanni asked for here. He wants the number 2, which is usually a curveball. And that's fouled away to the right. Or in Kotz's case, it could be a cut fastball. Trumbo with 6 pitches already seen in this at bat, making Kotz work. Neal sets once again. And the pitch just fouled down.
He's making the pitches. He's getting him to swing, but Trumbo's getting a piece of it.
Some nights it seems like that happens all the time. You get to a point where you're 1 pitch away from getting out of an inning quickly, and foul ball, foul ball. Crowd trying to get behind Neil Kotz here. Left-hander's ready. Again the 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Got him in swing mode, went upstairs, and Trumbo got off the elevator a couple of floors early.
Well, Trumbo's upset with himself. He battled that at bat. He fouled off some tough pitches. Kotz gave him sliders down and in. And finally, after a number of pitches down and in, he just couldn't lay off the high fastball. It really expanded the zone right there. So big strikeout, first and third, nobody out. And now you've got Howie Kendrick, and hopefully you can get a ground ball and maybe turn a double play right here. Kendrick has grounded into 15 double plays.
Well, this would be a good time for 16. The Angels have grounded into the most double plays in the major leagues, 102 this year. That compares to Rangers, who have grounded in 91. And while we have a moment here, how about the results of tonight's AT&T Twitter poll? We asked you which of these players will be the first to be traded before the July 31st deadline, and 39% of you said Michael Young will be. Alex Rios, Jake Peavy, Kendrys Morales. None got 22%. Is that Bob None or who's that?
I'm going with Jake Peavy. They say Jake Peavy brought brought an extra suitcase on this road trip.
Yeah,
he's going to be ready.
Kendrick, after a swinging strike 1 down on the count, now he is singled back in the second inning. Twice has flied to right field. So 1 for 3, back down to 299 with the average. Yes, he went around. It's 0-2. Ray Gibson, the first base umpire, affirming the call by Alan Porter. 21% of the time, Now he can. That's a large percentage. Soto wants that pitch inside. It's on the way, and he got him.
Wow. That's some pitching right there.
Well, that's just like a machine. You tell him what you want, where you want it, and he delivers. Neil Cox back-to-back strikeouts.
Boy, he threw that right where he wanted to get the strikeout. Hendrick just as upset as Trumbo was. Cox has got them talking to themselves, going back to the dugout. First and third and nobody out, but that's only 2/3 of the way there. Got to get this last hitter.
Yeah, Soto out to talk to Neil Cox as Jason Frazier. He's loosening in the Ranger bullpen. Callaspo, the hitter, he's a switch hitter. He'll bat from the right side. And average-wise, a little bit better. He's a .262 hitter as a right-handed batter. .252 from the left side. And takes the breaking ball for strike one. Callaspo, as you can see, 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of groundouts and a strikeout. He has Trout at third, Hamilton at first. 0-1 pitch. Now 1-1. Angels' 8th inning started with a Mike Trout single to center. Josh Hamilton moved him around to third with a base hit to right. But then back-to-back strikeouts by Cox. He's gotten 2 outs, and he gets a strike on the outside corner. To Alberto Callaspo. He didn't think so, but Callaspo now down in the 1-2 hole. And this crowd of 36,282 standing. They want to see Neil Cox work out of this jam. The left-hander's ready. In the dirt, nice stop by Giovanni Soto, and that evens the count at 2-2.
Well, if he strikes out Callaspo, he will really have done something, because Callaspo, again, we mentioned this earlier, he's only struck out 21 times this year.
Now the 2-2 pitch on the way.
Yes. Ooh. Looked like he might have got a called strike right there.
Neil liked it, Giovanni Soto liked it, but Alan Porter didn't.
That was close.
Well, the count goes to 3-2. Hamilton will be off and moving from first. Callaspo waiting. Payoff pitch on the way. Outside ball 4. That'll load him up for Hank Conger. Callaspo able to work back to get the count full. Drew the walk.
Well, Callaspo is a little more of a veteran hitter than Conger. Conger has struck out a couple of times tonight. He's 0 for 3. The walk really doesn't matter that much. You don't want to give up a run, period. It's 3-1 already with only 2 innings to go. You just want to get this last out without a run scoring. You probably have a better chance to get Conger out than Callaspo anyway.
Now, Conger also a switch hitter from the right side, though. He is just 1 for 15. That's an .067 average this year. And he takes a strike from Neil Cox. As a left-hander, Hank Conger hitting .262. Conger, for the last 3 or 4 years, has really been the up-and-coming Angel catcher, the catcher of the future. And hasn't quite made it yet. Takes a pitch for a strike. 0-2. And again, this crowd getting into it, supporting Neil Cox and the Rangers. Bases full of Angels with 2 outs. Foul back. That fastball had him locked up pretty well, and Conger just did get a piece of it.
That's going to take Neil at least 26 pitches to get out of this inning, but when it starts off first and third and nobody out, that's the price you might have to pay to get out of the inning.
Much of this crowd on their feet. No balls and 2 strikes. Now 1-2. This is where you would like to make your pitch. 1-2, and go after him with your best stuff in its best spot. Ron Washington would tell you that you take it much further and you give the hitter an advantage. Cox reading the signs, says okay, and comes set. The 1-2 pitch. Now 2-2. And Conger taking his time getting back in the box. Trying to think about the pattern that he might have seen from Neil Cox. The left-hander's ready. The 2-2 pitch. Fouled back. Got away with a hanging breaking ball. And we will try it again. Cox peering in for the sign. Soto flashes him out. Again the 2-2. Chopper out toward Ian Kinsler at second. On to first, that'll do it. So a nice job by Neil Cox and company. Looking around a first and third no-out situation. Bottom of the eighth, Rangers coming to bat. They're trailing the Angels 3-1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Replay. 26 2/3 innings of scoreless baseball came to an end on that Ian Kinsler base hit to center. Leonis Martin scoring. And that snapped that streak, and it got the Rangers on the board in the 6th inning. Well, they will try to do more here in the 8th as Leonis Martin leads off. A new pitcher on the hill. It's the right-hander, Dane De La Rosa. First pitch, a fastball at 95. Is in there for strike one, and you will see a lot of those hard fastballs.
Pretty good numbers for De La Rosa. Buzz, I got to correct something I said earlier in the game about Ted Williams. You always got people that can correct you when you make a mistake, no matter what it's about. Bill Ziegler is an expert on Ted Williams. He was our trainer while Ted was here. Ted Williams did not say he could see the ball hit the bat. That must have been somebody else. It was not Ted Williams. What Ted Williams actually said was, not only can you not see the ball hit the bat, a hitter can't see the ball the last 20 feet that it's coming to home plate. He says the ball is going too fast when it gets that close to actually see it. So
really,
maybe that's why if someone has late movement, it's tougher to hit that ball.
Yeah, that
because
would make
you
sense.
don't see it when it's approaching the plate like that.
1-1 pitch is in at the knees, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Martin had that bunt base hit his last time up. He is hitting that leadoff spot tonight for Ron Washington's club, trying to shake things up a little bit. De La Rosa, a big right-hander at 6'7", 245 pounds. Slow chopper hit out to second. Kendrick charges, and that will be out number 1. Leonos Martin out, and now Elvis Andrus will come up. De La Rosa acquired right at the end of spring training by the Angels this year. Came over from the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for Steve Geltz. De La Rosa worked just a couple of games at Salt Lake City, their AAA affiliate, before the Angels summoned him. Here's Elvis, who is 0 for 3. The breaking ball hangs inside to him. 1 ball and no strikes.
Yeah, that's one in this situation you actually hope does hit you. Get on base with a soft curveball.
And the pitch outside and low. It's 2 balls and no strikes. De La Rosa came up a couple of times, just very briefly, with the Tampa Bay Rays. Total of 12 major league games for Tampa Bay over the course of the 2011-2012 seasons. And fires a strike to Elvis. 2-1. Mike Scioscia's club struggling a bit of late. They're just 4-9 since just before the All-Star break. Line drive, base hit to right field. Calhoun cuts it off, and Elvis has a hit. 1-out single here in the 8th. That'll bring Ian Kinsler to the plate, representing the tying run in this game.
You want to get one man on for the middle of the order. That's exactly what you have now. Middle of the order coming up. Ian had the RBI hit for the only Ranger run in the 6th. There's a ball right off the sweet spot of the bat.
Well, the Rangers now with 6 hits tonight in the game. Here's Ian, who has one of those, 1 for 3. De La Rosa throws that big breaking ball that bends over the inside corner. Strike 1. That base hit by Elvis. We're reminded by Rob Morse, our fill-in statistician tonight. That's an 11-game hitting streak now for Elvis. But good to see him getting things more in order for himself. 0-1 pitch coming from De La Rosa. There goes Elvis. Pitch is high and low. The throw is high. Into center field it goes. And up and going to third is Elvis Andrus. Well, the stolen base for Elvis. The throwing error by Conger. And the Rangers now have a runner at third with just 1 out.
Well, that's good aggressive base running, and Elvis picked a good pitch to go on because it was a curveball down. He got a big jump. Conger really didn't have much of a chance to throw him out. Tried anyway, rushed his throw. It goes into center field. Man on third base, 1 out. Got a great chance to cut the deficit to 3-2 now.
So 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to Ian. And Kinsler has an RBI tonight. He has 43 for the year. Angels playing the infield back with 1 away. And the pitch low. Dogger had to pick that one out of the dirt. It's 2-1. See, Ian a little bit better than the major league average in these situations. 58% of the time he gets that runner home from third. And there you have Elvis just 90 feet away with what would be the second run of the night for the Rangers. They're trailing 3-1, but looking to make some noise here in the latter stages of this game. 2-1 pitch. Big breaking ball hangs high. It's 3 balls and a strike. Andrews had the base hit, stolen base with the third on the air. Ian trying to get aboard right behind him. And the cleanup man, Adrian Beltre, is waiting in that on-deck circle. The 3-1 pitch is on the way. Now we'll try it at 3-2. Ian had a pretty good rip at that fastball. Kinsler just 0 for 1 in his career against De La Rosa. So a full count with 1 out. De La Rosa sets. And the payoff pitch. To right field. Calhoun backs up, makes the catch, tagging at third. Here comes Elvis. Here comes the throw. The slide, he's safe. Well, Ian gets the job done, a sacrifice fly. Kinsler was both already on tonight. It's now a 1-run game. Angels 3, Rangers 2.
There's basically stealing a run right there. Get a man on, steal second, go to third on the air. And then the important part, man on third, less than 2 outs, get the run in. And Buzz, as you've said many times, it doesn't take a hit to do that. It takes fundamental hitting. Get the ball up in the air, hit it to the outfield, and when you've got speed on third base, you can overcome a strong throw home. Now it's 3-2.
Well, Ron Washington a little antsy as that ball was in the air, and he got the motor going. Adrian Beltre now in a 1-run game. Makes the first pitch high for ball 1. Now, what's the old baseball saying? Get him on, get him over, and get him in?
Yep.
That's what the Rangers did. Beltre 2 for 3 tonight. A pair of singles. All 3 at times at bat were Jared Weaver. Takes a breaking ball from De La Rosa for a strike. And Adrian has something to say to Alan Porter. De La Rosa, the 30-year-old right-hander from Murrieta, California. Ground ball out towards second. Kendrick on to Trumbo. That'll do it. But the Rangers get a run closer. They score a run on a hit. Nobody left. We're going to the 9th inning in Arlington. The Angels 3, the Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest.
And welcome back to Rangers Ballpark. Rick Renner way out in the outfield at the Captain Morgan Club as we get ready for Rangers Live presented by Esurance. Mark McLemore will join me. We got all kinds of post-game reaction coming up. Not two, but maybe three cameras in the clubhouse. We'll hear from Ron Washington. Plus, Jim Knox with the fans. He's doing a voodoo dance right now to try to generate some offense. Buzz?
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Now we head to the ninth inning, and Jason Frazier has come out of the Ranger bullpen. He will take over on the hill, the right-hander. Now pitching the ninth inning, he'll start with J.B. Shuck.
Well, Jason got the loss the other day in his third inning of relief in Cleveland. Gave up a walk-off home run and two scoreless innings prior to that.
J.B. Shuck, the number 9 hitter. His first major league home run back in the 5th inning. It was off of Matt Garza, and that opened the door for a tough inning for the Rangers and for Garza. The only tough one that he had, really. The Angels ended up scoring all 3 of their runs in that frame. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. The bunt, and that's chopped foul. The fans thought that was popped up in the air, and Giovanni dropped it, but it was bunted down in the ground first. Bounced up in the air. The 1-2, the count to Shuck. Jason Frazier, the 35-year-old Chicagoan, on now to try and make quick work of the Angels here in the ninth, get the Rangers back to the plate. Misses high and outside, and the count is 2-2. Frazier and J.B. Shuck have never faced each other, at least not in regular season play. They have in spring training. Pop foul off to the left. We'll try it again at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The Angels have a lot of guys that can run. Right now, Peter Borges is out of the lineup. He's right up there with Trout as a guy that can run. J.B. Shuck, saw him almost beat out a ground ball to shortstop. You know he can run. They got some pretty good speed on their team. Borges is out with a broken hand right now.
This one skied to shallow left field going out. Elvis Andrus, the shortstop, puts it away. That is out number 1 as Shuck pops out. And it'll bring up Eric Ibar. Well, folks, the next Nolan Ryan Beef Dollar Hot Dog Night at Rangers Ballpark takes place this coming Wednesday during the final game of the series with the Angels. Reserve your seats today at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS and get ready to enjoy all the Nolan Ryan Beef hot dogs you can for $1. $1 each. Make that play. Here's Ibar, who is 0 for 3 with a walk. And Frazier hits the outside corner. Off-speed pitch makes it 0-1. Ibar scored that run after walking in the 5th inning. Pulls that one foul. It's 0-2. Frazier and Ibar have faced each other several times, with Ibar going 1 for 4 with a single. Ibar, of course, the switch hitter, and he stays batting from the right side, or the left side, I should say, against the right-hander Jason Frazier. A 91-degree evening as we play in the 9th inning. Call strike 3.
Good fastball. Snuck it right by him.
Can I help you, sir? No, just looking. Ibar gone back to the bench. That's out number 2.
Well, he eyeballed one back in the 5th inning when he walked on that close slider from Matt Garza. He tried to eyeball that one, but it was a strike.
Now Cole Calhoun, who has a single in 4 trips. And the pitch in the outside corner for a strike. Looking ahead to the Ranger ninth. A.J. Pierzynski, the Ranger DH, leading things off. It'll be Pierzynski, Cruz, and Murphy. And no doubt they will be facing Ernesto Frieri, the Angels closer. 1-1 the count to Calhoun, and there is Frieri.
Well, I remember a pitch Frieri threw here to Nelly Cruz that went about 450 feet, so maybe Frieri will remember that. Maybe Nelly will remember it. They can relive it again.
Good fastball from Frazier. 1-2. Yeah, he didn't get that ball back, did he?
No.
Brown getting on their feet. Frazier okays the sign from Soto. The 1-2 pitch. Chopper foul down the first base side. And Jason Frazier will have to throw at least one more pitch before he's able to head back to the Ranger dugout. Calhoun back to the plate. He is 2 for 6 since being called up from Salt Lake City for the Angels. And since the DL stint for Albert Pujols began. Jason Frazier sets, and again the 1-2 pitch. Call strike 3. Hating the outside corner. Back-to-back calls, third strike. That will do it for the Angels. A 1-2-3 inning. We're going to the bottom of the ninth. Pierzynski, Cruz, and Murphy to face Frieri when we come back. Texas Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-HIT-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. Now it has come down to the bottom of the ninth inning. Rangers trailing 3-2. A.J. Pierzynski to start things off, and will be against the Angels closer Ernesto Frieri.
Frieri, 25 out of 27. Pretty good numbers. ERA's a little bit higher than you normally see a closer who's 25 out of 27. But you can tell he's pretty dominating. 65 strikeouts in 43 innings. A few too many walks, though. They'd get him in trouble. 25 walks in 43 innings.
And And A.J. Brzezinski, a weak swing and a miss. It is 0-1. You remember Brzezinski hit a home run off Ernesto Frieri the last time he faced him.
He was guessing for a strike right there because that was a fastball. And he made up his mind to swing pretty much before he ever saw that was going to be out of the strike zone. Kind of guessing on it a little bit.
And the check swing, he did not go around. Not according to third base umpire Harry Wendelstedt. So the count evens and a ball and a strike. AJ tonight 0 for 3, a fly ball, a ground out, and a strikeout. Handling the DH chores here this evening. A rip on a fastball and no contact. It's 1-2. Well, the Rangers turned around a couple of streaks tonight, most notably the 26 2/3 inning scoreless streak that the offense had, put to rest with a 6th inning run. Ball club looking to snap another streak too. They are 0-39 when trailing after 8 innings this year. Brzezinski a drive, high and deep, right field, way back, goodbye. Brzezinski has done it again to Frieri. We have a brand new ball game at 3.
He was going for a home run. He, as the players would say, cheated a little bit on the first one. Swung at a pitch out of the strike zone. Took a big swing and had the fastball thrown by him on the second one. And then on the third swing, he was ready for the fastball. I think Frieri might have been thinking he was going to be able to throw it by him again after he swung and missed twice. That pitch didn't even look like it was a strike. The pitch is down and in. And he knocked it right out of the ballpark.
A.J. putting in the 5th row of the lower home run court. And the Rangers have clawed all the way back to tie it at 3 apiece. 0-1 pitch to Nelly Cruz, and that's a bit low. 1 ball and 1 strike. How about the Ranger dugout? It has been since last Friday night in Cleveland the Rangers had anything on that dugout to be happy about. They've got plenty to be happy about right now. Nelly trying to end it right here. I think AJ's a little animated. Ooh. Well, he had one, a hanger that stayed inside. And just a little bit too much inside. Here's our phantom camera.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice swing. You could tell that ball's low and in just by the way he brought his hands in order to make the good part of the bat hit that ball. It's not an easy pitch to hit out of the ballpark.
And Cruz to left center field. That is down for a base hit. And the Rangers have the winning run aboard with nobody out. Nelly with his first hit of the night. Mike Scioscia looking at something as if he'd seen a ghost. Something that he's seen before, especially in this ballpark with his club.
Right, another pitch that's down. A little bit of movement on it. Nice swing by Nelly.
Well, Cruz at first now with nobody out, and David Murphy, the hitter, and instead it's going to be Mike Butcher making a trip to the mound. Murphy 0 for 3 tonight. A strikeout, a fly out, and a ground out. Butcher was trying to get something straight, probably a reminder as to what they're going to do with Murphy and what they might do if Murphy is asked to bunt. Well, tomorrow, right back here again, the matchup, the Rangers and the Angels, will be Derek Holland and C.J. Wilson will be with you at 7 o'clock tomorrow night on Fox Sports Southwest. AT Uverse will have you here at the ballpark. Toss to first. Cruz back standing. Little energy in the ballpark now.
Well, there's been good energy tonight, Buzz. When Rangers are down to 3-1, the fans really been into it tonight, especially with the pitcher having a chance to strike out a batter to end an inning.
Murphy, a double play ground ball to Kendrick. The second for one, back to first. Yeah, Murphy hit it hard, but credit to the Angels, they turned over a nice double play. And there are now 2 outs with the bases empty for Giovanni Soto.
Yeah, that ball wasn't that far from being into right field for a base hit. First pitch hitting, Dave did hit it well. Nice play by Kendrick.
Giovanni Soto doubled his last time up there. That was back in the 7th inning. And he takes the pitch low from Frieri. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Joe Nathan loosening in the Ranger bullpen. One 1-0 pitch coming to Soto. And 2-0 the count. You might have the right guy up here if Frieri comes back with a fastball. Giovanni can turn around the best of them. He's been swinging the bat well of late. He has that batting average up over 200 now. 2 balls and no strikes. 3-0. Frieri not able to come close with that last pitch. Soto, if he can't end it, trying to get on base for Mitch Moreland. 3-0 pitch. Right down the middle. And Mike Scioscia has seen his closer fail for the 3rd time this year to close out a ball game.
He's got a left-hander warming up in the bullpen. I wonder if he's warming up to come in and face Mitch if he walks Soto.
Rip and a foul tip. It's 3-2. Frieri not coming back with a fastball to Soto on that 3-1. Well, the count has gone full. Payoff pitch on the way. Belted deep drive field. If it's fair, it is gone at the pole. Goodbye. Giovanni Soto, a walk-off home run, and the Rangers win it 4-3. It is a mob scene at the place. The Rangers come back with 2 bombs in the bottom of the 9th inning. The first by A.J. Pierzynski to tie it, and then Giovanni Soto, the game winner, right down the left field line. His 2nd career walk-off home run.
That's some kind of win right there, boy. Hey, you got to be so happy for Giovanni. He doesn't get a chance to play on a regular basis, but as you mentioned, Buzz, he's taken advantage of his opportunities lately. He's on a 4 or 5 game hitting streak. In this situation, nobody on and a couple of outs, and he just takes Frieri deep on a high inside fastball. And what a great feeling for him. What a big win for the Rangers. They lost 4 straight. Come back home, they're down 3-1. They got a good closer on the mound. Home run, they pull it out. Great win.
A fantastic finish here tonight. Down by a 3-0 count. They pecked away and then turned the Dogs loose in the 9th inning. Berzinski and Soto with home runs, and the Rangers walk off with a 4-3 win. That's their first walk-off victory since Boston series back in early May here at Rangers Ballpark. And Giovanni Soto getting the hero's welcome at home plate.
Just hope no one got hurt in that scrum at home plate. You know, that's a lot of, I won't call it frustration, but a lot of pent-up excitement right there for a win that the team really needed. That's just a huge ninth inning, 2 big home runs.
Well, that 4-game losing streak is in the past, and let's go down to the field where Jim Knox is standing by with one of tonight's heroes.
I appreciate it, Buzz. AJ, hey, that was a lot of fun, man. You got it going the ninth. You got down 2 strikes. You came out of the batter's box. I think you had a little talk to yourself. Then at next pitch, over the right field fence.
Oh, I've been fighting myself for a long time, and Max has been working his tail off with me, and just frustrated, trying too hard, and finally I just said, whatever happens here, just happens. And if you strike out, it's the worst that can happen. And he threw a pitch down and in, and luckily I hit it. And then, Gio obviously with a huge home run. We needed a game. I mean, all the stuff, the offensive struggles we've been through the last few weeks. To have a game like that, especially at home after the trip we came off, it was huge.
Yeah, that is huge. And Giovanni hitting that other, it's like the Rangers catcher's 1-2 punch right there.
I'm so happy for Gio. I mean, he's been great all year. When he gets in there, he does a great job. And I'm so happy he got the opportunity to do that. I mean, it means a lot to him, but also means a lot to me that he gets the opportunity.
But the nice thing, AJ, it seems like that gave the team the spark right there. This could give the team the spark they need down the stretch.
I hope so. I definitely hope that happens. I mean, we got 50-some games left, and we got to try to win every game, and we know where we're at. We put ourselves in this position. But at the end of the day, we're going to give everything we have, and hopefully it's enough.
All right, way to go, AJ. Congratulations on a big night. Buzz.
All right, Knoxy, thank you very much. Quite a night here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. We'll have Rick Renner and Mark McLemore back to wrap things up. You see Giovanni Soto launching the game winner in the bottom of the ninth inning. 4-3, the Rangers win. We'll be back after this on Fox Sports Southwest.